All right. Okay. Hi, guys. Hi, everyone. We are back, locked and loaded for our next book. How's everybody doing?
Great.
Awesome.
Good.
Okay. Good news. That's good news. Well, I am your host, Takesha Everett, and I'm the owner of Blueprint to Events platform that we're currently on. And Blueprint to Events is a full service event company that specializes in event designs. And I guess we can say now virtual events is on our resume as well. And the reason why we're doing this is that we wanted to do something fun, yet virtually, and also promote reading. So that is what brings us here today. And if you happen to have a book that you would love to see featured with Wind Down Readers, please email us at winddownreaders@gmail.com so we can check you out. We have today our wonderful panelists, and I'm just going to call your name and everybody wave your hand like we customary do. We have Nene Harris from Houston. Okay. Hi, Nene. All right. We have Gloria from Atlanta. Hi. Okay. We have Alex from the DMV. All right. Our residential Joy Happen author, Stephanie from the DMV. We have the famous Miss Pat from FLA, Florida. We have Wanda from the DMV. Jay from the DMV. Who am I missing? We have Mrs. Crump from the DMV. Melody, another DMVer. All right. And last but certainly not least, one of the things about our virtual book club is that we have the author with us. So we have the lovely Miss Marlee Ray is with us, and she's going to co-host with us tonight. Hi. So we're going to go ahead and get started. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about Marlee Ray. She is a reader and a writer. She started reading books as a child, but never had any aspirations of writing until she was well within her adulthood. She loves escaping the real world and creating romantic fantasies focused on Black love. We know that to be true. When she's not reading or writing, her interest includes decorating, baking, and traveling. She dreams of one day living on an island near the beach during the winter months. She's lived in the DMV, right? Her favorite thing to do is to spend quality time with her family and friends. During downtime, she could be found reading, chatting on the phone, or indulging in whimsical nail polishes. And Marlee Ray currently resides in the St. Louis metropolitan area. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Absolutely, absolutely. The book is amazing. Okay. We're gonna get to it. So what I like to do is to definitely give a little brief overview of the chapters for our Facebook viewers who have read and who haven't had a chance to read the book, so that everybody is included. All right. Hi, guys. Thanks for joining us via Facebook. It's our Facebook crew. We have Jawah here, Gloria here, Latasha. Who else here? Leah. Hi, guys. Thanks for joining. All right. So we're going to get right into it. So chapter 1 through 3 kind of basically introduces the two major characters. The two major characters are Dawn Sims, right? Is that her last name? And Macon James. And it basically talks about them individually and also their perception of how they came about. And starting with Dawn, the book takes place in St. Louis. And Dawn is relocating back to St. Louis from the DMV area and is currently trying to put her emotions and everything back on track. Unfortunately, she had, experiencing the grief of the loss of her mom. And the book opens up with her walking for exercising in her neighborhood, and she's reflecting on her current situation. And in this book too, which we're used to, she has a very close-knit friendship. We meet the character Tori, which is her BFF, Janae, who is also her BFF, Dre, who's her territorial ladies' man BFF, Robert, I like to call him the married friend. I don't know why. And then also later on, we'll meet Summer, who's Don's older sister. And in chapter 2, you kind of flip we're going into Macon's world. And you have Macon James here, and he's a military man, recently relocated back to St. Louis. And it's mentioned that he's residing with his parents briefly. And it just so happens that his parents lives in the same neighborhood as Don. And so he had been checking Dawn out for a while she was doing her walks or whatnot. And so he decides, to formally make himself known one day while she's exercising. And just to introduce a little bit of Macon's crew, he has two twins, a boy and a girl, Chloe and Major. Brock, who's his loving stepfather, Layla, is his mom. She's a little nosy, but we love her though. Megan's family is a little different, let's just say, but in a good way. We have Lois, Tanya, and Melody, which are Megan's sisters. I don't know why I've heard those three names in sequence before. We have we have Daryl and Donald, who's his stepbrothers, and Mia and Mike. Mia is Macon's ex-wife, mother of his kids, and Mike is her husband. And as I said before, during the walk, he had been checking Don out. He formally introduces himself. And again, I'm just going to hit the hot spots of each chapter so that we can get to the discussion. And Marlee Ray, if there's something you feel like that's poignant that I skipped over or we need to talk about a little bit further, please don't hesitate to interject.
Okay, all right.
So, after meeting this Macon guy, Dawn, in chapter 3, she heads home and, she, like we all do, she calls her girlfriends and, she tells them about, what happened. And so if you read back in chapter 3 and 2, it shows you how they introduce themselves, and you can tell that they're very comfortable talking to each other. They actually revealed a lot in their initial introduction. They talked about, a little bit of their family dynamics, what they did. And you can tell that Don and Macon are very comfortable with each other right off the bat. Well, the date happens, their first date happens in chapter 4. And Don feels comfortable enough. During the date, they have a good time. I can't go into all of the details of the date, but, just imagine, the guy being very chivalrous, he's nice looking, all those little details you pick up. He smells good, this is, and ironic, which was, I thought was brilliant, was that Marlee Ray gave the perspective of the date through Macon in chapter 4. That was a little different because we so used to hearing it from the female, but she kind of flipped the script and gave it from Macon's point of view. And so after the date, Dawn invites him in her home. Nothing happened, but just to kind of further get to know each other. And there she kind of reveals to him about the death of her mom and, her grieving process. And, again, another little side note to show you she's comfortable around this guy. She really likes him. In chapter 5, we meet Dawn's sister Summer, and she stops by. Dawn is still kind of on cloud 9 about the date and she, that she had with Macon the night before, and she fills her sister in. And her sister, makes comments about how good looking he is, this and that. And, she's happy for her sister. In chapter 6, Dawn invites Macon, they're dating, they're getting along, everything is going great. And she invites him to a happy hour to meet her friends that I spoke of that were introduced in chapter 1. And it's and she wants to, when her friend Dre, who's the one I call the territorial friend, meets Macon for the first time, the introduction is a little coarse. You know, he's kind of like sizing Macon up as if Macon is on his quote unquote territory. And, you know, it's noticed, the other friends notice that are at this particular happy hour. And that's when, you know, it starts to reveal itself that there's some issues that Dre has with Macon. And in this chapter 2, again, I said they've been dating. And in chapter, I do want to go back to chapter 5. I do apologize for that. After Dawn is, her sister stops by Summer, she reveals to Summer that, you know, she's gonna help Macon move into his new townhouse and help him decorate and get settled. Now, Marlee, I did want to ask you, as far as the timeline, this is like less than a week after they met, right?
It was pretty quick. But
it was pretty quick.
It was. But remember, she knows his mother. They live around the corner from each other. So that was more of a comfort level because she knows his mother very well. So it's kind of like he was away and now he's back, but she knows the mother, which is kind of why she is a little bit more comfortable with him. And she likes him. And he's very good looking. So it's kind of.
And it helps.
Yeah, it helps. Yeah, that really helps. Yeah.
Okay. And I wanted to stop here because, you know, I get to pick a little bit of a favorite scene of mine. I love this, and I'm gonna be fast. When Macon is doing the final closing on his house, his real estate agent, Latrice, happens to be at the house. Look at Alex. I see you shaking your head, Alex. Happens to be at the house, you know, to get the final paperwork signed. And when Dawn is introduced to her, this Latrice lady automatically thinks that she is Macon's sister.
Older sister.
Yes.
Right, Alex. Okay. And so when I was reading, my heart started beating a little bit because I'm like, oh Lord, what's about to pop off in this man's townhouse? But at first, I was mad at Macon because I'm like, he didn't initially set her straight. And I was like, wait a minute, Dawn, what's going on? But I like the fact that she kept herself cool, calm, and collected, unlike me. And she waited, and he strategically waited until all his paperwork was done. Mm-hmm. And then he made it, let's just say he made it known that Dawn was not his sister. I love that. Sorry. Sorry I had to digress chapter 5, but I wanted to make sure I brought that up. That was one of my favorite chapters. Okay. So again, the relationship continues to progress. Macon is very forthcoming about his children with Dawn. They happen to be in chapter 6. You find out that Macon picks him up from Mike and Mia to come stay with him. And so in chapter 7, you know, it opens with Dawn. She confronts her friend Dre about his behavior and his attitude towards Macon, especially at the happy hour. She's like, what's going on? And she's a little surprised at herself because she feels as if, you know, she didn't realize she was that upset at his attitude. And, you know, it expressed in her actions. And in this chapter, you know, we kind of get the notion that maybe Dre kind of got the picture and he's going to calm down. But later, we find out something else. In chapter 8, you know, again, Macon and Dawn are on cloud 9 with each other. You know, they're having a good time. And Macon is even talking to his brother, Donald, about introducing the kids to Dawn. And, you know, some of the challenges that come with managing his time between family and the relationship. And this is like around their 5-week point. And he, you know, formally introduces Dawn to his family at a family gathering. A cute moment in this chapter, Macon is at Dawn's house and misplaces his phone, and he's hesitant about her calling the phone to relocate it. And the reason why he's hesitant, he doesn't want her to hear his ringtone he has set for her. The ringtone is a song called Booed Up. Is that not hilarious? I thought that was hilarious. Anyway, look, let me stop derailing to my favorite parts of the book. But anyway, in chapter 8, Dawn confesses to Macon about, she's loving with everything that's going on, but she's, concerned and a little scared about the new relationship and the rapid developed feelings she has for Macon. And, this guy, I'm so in love with Macon, but anyway. And in chapter 9, Dawn introduces Macon to her crew, her family. Summer, in this chapter, Summer, who is her sister, kind of shocks Dawn by revealing that her mother always thought that Dawn and Dre would eventually get together. And Dawn has this annual drink competition at her home. And this is a gathering of family and friends, and they get together and make drinks competitively. I like this, Marlee Ray. I don't know if this is something that you actually do or someone who does it. I might have to copy this, but sorry, I'm going to go ahead and put it out there.
Oh, it is. It's something that I do. It's actually not during the summer. I usually have an annual Christmas party, and there's a drink competition every year, and it's very competitive.
It's very competitive. Yeah. To get the details about it, she's very descriptive.
I'll have to show you some pictures.
Yeah, exactly. I gotta see this. I love that.
Oh yeah. Oh, they have costumes, lights.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's very competitive.
Wow. Okay. And they have this, annual drink competition. They even give a trophy to the person who has the most creative presentation and the best tasting drink. And during this party, Macon asked Dawn, won't you come on back to my house and spend the night with me? Now I'm thinking, I'm not for sure, and I should have checked this, verified. This is like, they've been dating for about 2 months at this point, correct? Right. Around that time, it's not close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And back to the drink competition, as luck would have it, Macon rightfully won the competition that night. Everyone gave him his due props. His drink was not only delicious, but he presented it with uplight and Parliament as its kind of like theme music. But the funny thing is, in this chapter, you mentioned that ironically, Dre had won the previous couple of years before. Mm-hmm. And now this new guy, so that's when the title, Something Old, Something New, hit me hard in this particular chapter, chapter 9. Mm-hmm. Because it's a symbol of, Dre considering himself at this point the something old, and Macon is the something new.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, in chapter 10, now keep in mind, remember, Macon had asked Dawn at this point to come back to his house. And let's just say Dawn and Macon finally get to hang the curtains, as the old folks say in the house. So you got to read the book. I can't give that away. You're gonna have to read it. If you don't have it, please. Great chapter. Let's just say that. Mm-hmm. He even had he was making breakfast for the girl in the morning. Okay. So in this chapter 10, our final chapter we're going to talk about tonight, it ends with Macon receiving a text message from Elisa. And she's stating that she's in town and she's at the airport. So, right, Miss Pat. Mm-hmm. Who is this Lisa girl? So we're going to have to figure out, going in chapter 11, who is this Lisa lady? Who is she? So anyway, that's chapter 1 through 10, our virtual overview, just recapping the chapters before we get into our discussion. So Marlee Ray, I know you're new to the group, but at this point, we like to shout out our drinks. Okay, and we're going to ask our Facebook group, make sure you shout out your drinks. Let us know what you're sipping on. We're going to start with Miss Pat. Miss Pat, what you sipping on?
Pinot Grigio with frozen grapes.
Oh, wow.
Woo! Woo! Let me see who else. Jay? What you got?
You know me, I'm not a drinker.
They always have to be different.
Yeah, so y'all go ahead and get twisted for me.
All right, so we have two Stephanies up here, Steph and Anini. So I'm gonna start with Steph. Steph, what you sipping on, girl?
Sweet Red, Joseph Handler.
Ooh. All right, Nene.
I am sipping on some Moscato.
Nice.
All right, we have our Hugh Hefner down there. Mel, what you sipping on, girl?
I'm sipping on some Cabernet Sauvignon.
Okay. Miss Wanda, what you got going on?
Just some Moscato tonight, just a little bit.
Just a little.
Okay. Miss Crump.
Some Stella Rose Black.
Oh.
Okay. I've had that. I know. Alex.
A little bit of strawberry lemonade and gin.
I like that drink. Gloria.
She's muted.
She's muted.
Oh, you're muted, Gloria. We can't hear you.
Caprizia.
Freezy.
All
right, I like it. Okay.
That's your
okay.
sangria. It's sangria.
Sangria.
High octane sangria.
Yes.
So we have a full house tonight. Did I forget anybody? I hope I didn't.
Oh, I'm
I
still on Chardonnay.
Renee.
Chardonnay.
Marlee, right? I was gonna give you a special. Okay, so what are you drinking? I had a little special.
Butter kissed Chardonnay.
Wow.
Ooh,
Good.
fancy. All right, let me see. Nobody's drinking in Facebook. Come on, you guys aren't drinking this wine downstairs. Let me hear what you're drinking on. I want to know. I need some ideas. All right. Well, anyway, as we cheers to chapter 1 through 10.
Here.
Hold your glasses up and let's get going. All right. My first discussion question I wanted to ask you guys, what do you guys think will happen between Dre and Macon if Dre doesn't change his territorial behavior? I mean, it's obvious he has feelings for Don. Come on. But I don't know, by him being a ladies' man. And Stephanie, you made a good point about Dre and his perception on dating. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Who?
Stephanie? You.
I did?
Yeah, maybe you were just telling me. Maybe you were just telling me.
Oh. Sorry.
Born.
Okay, so Dre, you cannot hate Dre, and I have to have an honest respect for Dre because Dre is a ladies' man, right?
Right.
Mhm.
And he's very, don't we as women always say to the men to let us know. We want to know up front. We want to know the rules of the game so we know how to play.
Mm-hmm.
So Dre informs ladies in the beginning what his purpose is. He's out to have a good time, but he also charms them, treats them like queens, and then they fall for him. With that being said, he pulls away because I told you in the beginning what my purpose is. Now, are we supposed to hate him because the women end up with their feelings hurt? But he told you in the beginning.
That's right.
So I can't help it if you fall for me. I told you I'm not in for that. So he bounces. And I mean, you gotta, it's a love-hate relationship for Dre, but you gotta respect him. You gotta respect the game.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead, Miss Pat.
Well,
I'm shocked at Steph, but go
I
ahead.
agree with you, Stephanie, 100%. But he's told that to every woman except Dawn.
Right.
That's a
Right.
different perspective.
If he's going to tell you what he's about,
Right.
why can't he open his mouth and tell her? He is highly threatened by Macon right now. And so
Yes.
now he's pulling in his true colors because he's threatened by this man. He has not been
Right.
threatened by the
But
husband.
maybe he hasn't told Dawn because he thinks she already knows.
What?
But that's where you get
Okay.
into the idea of what happens.
That's
when
a possibility.
Mm.
you
Well,
know,
he hasn't told Dawn because they don't have that kind of relationship.
Mhm.
or at least
I mean, why would he even say that to her when they're like a, best friend type
They're
relationship?
best friends, yeah.
yeah.
So why does he
Okay.
tell Dawn, I'm gonna wine you and dine you, but if you fall for me, I'm bouncing? Why does he need to say that? But she already knows what kind of person he is.
Mhm.
What were you gonna say, Alex?
I was just gonna say that, like, at the end of the day, actions speak louder than words, and if he's going to treat every woman the same and be upfront with him about what his expectations are of that relationship, he should be holding Dawn at the same level as well. Because even though they've been friends since 4th grade, that is a different. There's history there. You know each other really well, and if that's something that he's not going to be upfront with her about and say, hey, I have feelings for you, and to be honest, Macon is making me feeling a little jealous of what you have with him, and it's something that I could see us having, but I'm also kind of scared of that as well. So it's like, I think it comes down to he needs to kind of man up and just tell her that this is where we stand, because
Okay.
I have a feeling.
I wanna
Okay.
just-
I hated Dre. Okay.
Okay, Mel, before you go, because I know, girl, me and you gonna be on the same. Let me jump on Facebook and then we're gonna go back to you. So we have Yolanda Johnson. Okay, she on Steph's team. She says she respects Dre because he is honest. Okay.
Tell Yolanda to shut up. Tell Yolanda I said shut up.
Shut up. Don't be hating, Mel. And then we have let's see here, Ashley Fisher. She said no, ... Maybe, and this is, I agree with Ashley. Maybe he's been keeping Dawn in his back pocket.
Exactly.
Okay. And then Sharon said he's having a great time without the commitment. He's playing it safe.
Yes.
Okay, so that's what I look. And Yolanda says she loves Dre.
So I hate
Sign that
Dre.
says Team Dre. I need a Team Dre sign.
I can't tell you how much I hated Dre.
Hated Dre.
I think this is how I view
Let me
Dre.
think.
I view Dre as being like kind of juvenile. Like he took Dawn, like their relationship for granted, as if like he didn't think that she would find someone.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, really? And now that she's playing with the new toy, he's just like a kid now. I want her now. I can't do Dre. I can't do him. I just can't.
So Keisha,
Yes, I'm gonna get you on to Miss Pat had her hand up.
oh,
We're gonna go for Miss Moore. Okay, so go ahead, Miss Pat.
So how do you go from being friends from the 4th grade to being 50 years old? And you never told the woman what?
Go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish.
How do you go that many years in their friendship? They've been friends since elementary school. And he has never, ever told her that he had a personal interest in her as more than just a friend.
Exactly.
That's too many years. What's the game here?
Because he's immature.
Huh?
Because he's immature.
Yeah, they're saying he's immature on Facebook too. Now go ahead, Wanda.
A friend.
no, I was
then.
going to say similar to what Miss Pat and what Mel said, though, is that Dre, to go from the fourth grade into age 44 and to know that they're best friends. So Dawn knows his whole history with relationships. So the question would be, why would she even want to be in a relationship with him? Because he's demonstrated, even though everybody says he's been honest and upfront, he hasn't been committed to anything. And she was his best friend, and they had never been anything but friends. And if it was two guys, they would have been just dudes hanging out. She just happens to be a female. Now all of a sudden, because she's not, it may not even be because she's shown interest in somebody else. It's that she's shown interest away from him. Now he wants to show some type of, I'm all in love. And what he has done, the things he's done over the years of being there, is a love, but it's not an in love type of relationship. It's only been a friendship and nothing more than that. And now all of a sudden he's so in love with her. And any woman that had a man talk that way about other women all of this time, why would she even be interested in him?
Right.
That's a good viewpoint.
And how do we stop hating Dre from all of that?
I hate him.
Well, let me tell you why I hated Dre. I didn't hate Dre. I didn't hate Dre because he was a jerk. I hated Dre for his behavior. I didn't hate him because he was a jerk. All of us have kissed a jerk. All of us have kissed a jerk.
That's honest, Mel.
Excuse me?
How are you gonna hate somebody that's honest?
Honest with
You
who?
don't want to. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm team Dre. I'm team Dre.
I'm gonna let y'all. Nene, you've been patiently waiting. Go ahead.
Oh.
Marlee, what have you started over here? Okay, go ahead, Nene.
I don't hate Dre. I just thought Dre was very immature, and he proved it to me in the scenes where they were in the car, and he kept, every time you turned around, it was like he didn't want her to be mad at him. And I thought that was so silly. As a 44-year-old man, this is your best friend. What do you mean I don't want you to be mad at me? And then when he acted like an ass at the happy hour, okay, you understand looking out for your friend. You want to make sure your girl is okay because she just went through something. That's fine. But he continued on. And that to me was very silly. And that showed me he was in love with her, but he didn't know how to go about telling her that he was in love with her. But he's just, to me, immature, period, done. She got a real man. She found a real man. And that's his competition now. So that's how I looked at it. But I don't hate Dre. I just thought he was silly.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna jump into the the Facebook is going. Okay. So we have here, Sharon said it's all game. Okay. Then we have Stephanie Gordon Thurman. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He never saw her as anything but a friend until she had someone other than him. Ashley Fisher says, I think he's always had the love, but he knows Macon might be the real deal. And then Stephanie went on. She also says he's selfish. I agree with Stephanie Gordon Thurman. I think he's just selfish. I find people who have that concept, and Stephanie, he is honest, and I'll give you that. But sometimes you can be honest with the person and you know that they may be involved with you and they have different intentions. You're just kind of an honest and, selfish person because you're doing what you want to do, knowing that they want something else, or they, they're just hanging in here because they want to be with you.
Can I interject here?
Absolutely, please.
Okay, this is how I view Dre. He had a love and protection for her. He wanted to protect her, allegedly. But he sees for the first time that she's really happy. And when you love someone, you kind of make that kind of sacrifice. Like, I'm not going to interfere with someone that I think I love if I see that they're happy. I'm like, he was like a kid to me who was, he didn't want the toy until someone else started playing with it.
Playing with it. There you go. I like that, man.
That's men in general.
Hey, hey, hey.
And I don't like
Steph, you
him.
about to get Jay started.
That's men in general.
Hey, I don't think that's men in general.
That's not men in general. That's
I
not
don't
men in
think
general.
so. I don't think so.
Sometimes a man doesn't even want it until he thinks somebody else wants it.
I don't know. They don't. When they don't want you, they don't want you.
That ain't
Alex
so.
took a drink.
If we
That's
go back to our last book,
that's not true, Mel.
When a man don't want you, they don't want you.
Sometimes the men are happy that they met somebody else. It's like good.
Dre got stuck in the 4th grade, and
but if y'all remember in our last book, we defended the other person because the wife saw that he was interested in somebody else, then all of a sudden she became interested. So Steph, let's not put it all on all men, because women can do the same things too.
I think with any relationship,
but have you ever known a man to when a man don't want you, he don't want you. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. When he don't want you, he don't want you.
That's it. He don't care who you with.
No, he don't care. He don't want you.
Hold up, guys.
Period. Point blank.
There you go. Go ahead, Alex, and then we're gonna go to see what Facebook is saying.
I think what I have to say is I agree with the sentiment that Dre, well, at least from my perspective, is Dre hasn't necessarily realized, well, it's possible he may not have realized he had such strong feelings that different from friendship until he saw her with Nathan. However, that being said, it does not give him the justification to be a total ass to her and to him at, in front of other people, in front of her friends and family at the drink contest. Like, at the end of the day, if you are not happy with the fact that someone's not with you, get over it. Because if that person is happy, and you say that they're happy, you see that they're happy, they lost their mother 7 months ago, and this is the first time you've seen them truly happy.
Exactly.
Grow up, move
be a
on.
friend.
Right.
Be a friend, not a jealous lover.
Yeah.
Hope to be loved.
A lover who's not even not even her lover. Like, he thinks he holds a position in her heart that he doesn't necessarily hold in her heart. She just sees him as his best friend.
Because at this point, he's pushing her away as a friend.
He really is. And before I move on to check in with Facebook, Miss Crump, you over there quiet. I need to know what's through your mind with this Drake character.
I'm like everybody else about Dre. I just think he's, kind of immature, and, and maybe at this point in his life, maybe he's recognizing recognizing Dawn for the beautiful person she is, and maybe in the past he hasn't. So maybe he's going through something in his life where he's trying to grow up, but he's doing it in an immature way.
Yeah.
I'm still not Team Dre because I think he's being, childish in the way he's acting, but maybe that's what's going on with him. Maybe he's recognizing it, and maybe I don't know why he didn't recognize it when she got married, because he walked her down the aisle, so there was another man in the past. So maybe back then he was still, immature. Maybe he's ready to settle down. I don't know. He's 44. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe he's doing the whole woman, thing. But at 44, men do the same thing, but they don't have a name for it. So maybe that's what it is.
Okay, so we're gonna check into our Facebook viewers. Man, they are going for it. So let's see. Let me go back here. Sharon said this could be an insecurity issues for Dre. Latasha Clark, she agreed. Ashley Fisher agreed. She also said that Macon is the threat. Yolanda Johnson, yes, Sharon, he's afraid that Don will shut him down. Gloria Johnson says so true. Ashley Fisher then jumps in and said, yes, Alex, stand in line, Dre. Chance missed.
That's what I said. I'm like, beat it.
And Stephanie Gordon and Thurman said, Dre assumed she would always be there and never get a man, and he's scared. Latasha Clark, yes, Alex, he should have just stepped back and let her be happy instead of putting their friendship on the line.
Right.
Okay, so before we move on, Miss Marlee Ray, do you have any closing remarks for this discussion? We we have been divided in this group.
Yeah.
I know.
Once again.
I know. Now, I like Dre. I'm not saying that when I wrote Dre, I really like Dre. I'm not saying that the way Dre went about things was perfect, but we all do things sometimes, over the years and in relationships with friendships. A lot of times, when you do fall in love or you do like somebody, and Jay, I don't want you to jump on me for this, especially men, they don't necessarily they don't necessarily know how to handle things. So they handle them a little immaturely sometimes. So I just think that but I like Dre as a character and as a person, and he was a good friend to Dawn. But I mean, in my experience, men are naturally selfish. So that's what not sorry, Jay.
They're not selfish, men are territorial.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Men don't like their territory and friends don't.
That's fair.
Okay. Well, we'll call it territorial. So that's that's what Dre was going through. But I do like him as her friend because he has been a great friend over the years. He's not necessarily being the greatest friend in this moment, but as Jay would say, the territorial portion is coming out, and I would say his selfishness is coming out.
Yeah, this is the first time he's been threatened.
Yes.
All the other relationships she had, including her marriage, was never a threat to him.
Right.
And when you talk about territorial, one of the chapters when Dre came over, I don't know, to pick up something or whatever he was doing, he wanted to hug her with his cologne, and Megan said, "Oh no." He said he's trying to mark his territory with his cologne on her. So when Dre walked away, Megan would have to deal with smelling Dre on her.
Don shut that down though.
And that was another sign of immaturity.
Okay, gotcha.
When he tried to do that.
It was silly, but it's a man. I'm sorry, it's a man thing. Say it, Jay.
Jay, is that a man thing?
It's
so
a man.
I know we've heard from Alex, and I want to make sure all the men are represented here. So we've heard from Alex. Jay.
Yes.
What's the summary on this?
He said he was marking his territory with his cologne.
Yes. So Don and Dre are best friends. They've been best friends since 4th grade. And everything has been, we're assuming, wonderful. And then Don meets this attractive, charismatic guy, and Dre is finding himself in his feelings, and he's showing it with his actions and his mouth. What do you think about that?
Well, he's getting ready to lose his friend. That's number one, because once old boy starts spending more time with Dawn, that's it. She gonna cut him off, and because he's gonna feel like, okay, I'm your male friend now. You don't need this guy.
That's right.
That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
If she's really feeling him, our friendship was cool, but if I have to choose, I'm going with who's gonna be my future. Because right now, there's no future with you. We're friends. That's it. That's all it's ever going to be.
I like that. Okay.
So I have to start thinking.
Question, Jay. I have a question. So one of the things that you just said was that if she's going to be with Macon, that possibly the friendship with Dre would be cut off. Yeah. Now, wouldn't that show a sign of immaturity with Macon if he didn't want her to continue on with her male friends? And I guess that's another question that we should pose to the group is, just because you're in a relationship, does that mean that you have to cut off your relationships with the opposite sex?
No, not necessarily.
Yes and no. I'm not cutting you off, but I'm cutting you off.
What does that mean?
Yeah, that means we're cool, but we just can't kick it like we used to. You know what I mean?
Well, because
if it's going to put a strain on my current situation, my new situation. If it's gonna put a strain on that, I'm not gonna give up that for all we have is a friendship. I'm looking for more than a friendship because we're not getting any old, we're not getting any younger. And you're looking for a little bit of stability. You're not looking for a lifelong friend. You're looking for a soulmate.
Right.
So eventually that friendship is going to dwindle and it's going to fade because the more time you spend with the new person, that time has been taken away from the friendship.
But that happens in every dynamic, even
Absolutely.
even if it would happen with her females too. So, and the women aren't acting like that.
Well, that's because there's a different friendship with your female friends.
This is true.
You know, if he call you up and say, different. Hey, I'm going out drinking with my girls, and it's like, hey, but I really want to be with you. You know, she's old enough to say, hey, my girl should understand. I'm going to be with him. There's time when it's your girlfriends as opposed to your male friend, you should be able to separate the two. And I'm gonna give my girls their time because there's nothing going on. Those are my girls.
Right.
But I'm still trying to get to know dude and establish that friendship that possibly is going to turn into something.
But are we talking about Dre or are we talking about Macon?
Both of them.
Well, what I'm saying is that her relationship with Dre was allegedly the same as it was with her other friends. So when it's natural for if my girlfriend gets married that I can't call her at 3 a.m.
Right.
I mean, that's natural because it changes.
Yes.
Right.
So I mean, it seems like her female friends were able to accept it a little more than Dre. I understand Macon because you're looking for something, a lifelong partner. I just didn't understand Dre. I just didn't understand them.
Okay. So we're gonna go to Wanda, then Miss Pat, and I'm gonna check in on the Facebook viewers. Go ahead, Wanda.
I was going to say, so the question was whether or not she should have to give up her male friend, and if Macon would why she couldn't still continue to have her male friendship. And I think what Macon was beginning to realize is that this was more than just a friendship. I don't think he had a problem with any of her circle.
He didn't.
Standing, there are people before me. But he started to noticing is he wasn't looking at her like just a friend, and his territorial protection was extensive. It was aggressive as well as extensive. So that says there's more to it than just a friendship, that he's seeing something different. And along with that, Dre didn't offer any type of respect for the fact that Dawn was seeing someone new. He made it just like, this is our world. This is, nobody else should come into it. And I have you in this box. And so to me, it's not so much of letting go. I think the only time mature men can understand women having male friends, especially at that age, that they have had in their life. It's just recognizing that, hey, this guy is stepping on, he's not even allowing her to breathe, or for me, and definitely not respecting me, because he's just coming by and it's kind of like, oh, what's up? He's hasn't even embraced him to even get to know him. He already has a guard up for him.
Right.
So that's a different type of male-female relationship.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. Miss Pat, you're next, but before you start, Miss Pat, I'm looking at your glowing wine glasses and bottle in the back, and all I can think of, was that the presentation that Macon gave at the party?
No, it's not like that. My husband
similar.
is kind of a strange individual. This was a Christmas present because everybody knows I like wine. So it's a wine illuminated thing that changes colors.
Well, it's so fitting for the discussion tonight. But go ahead, Miss Pat, your opinion before I want to make sure. Go ahead.
Okay, so what I'm thinking is that in terms of a relationship with Macon and Dawn, it depends on how strong their bond is together. If you have a really strong relationship as a couple, people don't penetrate you. like Dre or anybody else. So you can work together, talk about it, figure out how we're going to deal with Dre. But you know, Dre has been around a long time. That's it for me.
True.
Okay.
That's it. We're gonna go over to the Alex, you
Alex.
go.
Yeah.
We're gonna go to the Facebook group.
I think that there is a maturity level that seems to be missing in Dre, but I have to say, basically going back to the question of does Dawn's new relationship with Macon mean that she has to stop being friends with Dre? I don't think so. I think what they need to do is have a conversation about him and what they're going to do about it, because if Dre keeps continuing with the behavior he's doing, it's going to cause issues in the relationship, especially since, I mean, Macon, I think, even makes kind of note of it, that she's known him for so much longer than she's known him. So, you know, I don't think she needs to stop being friends with him. I think she needs to put boundaries up and say, hey, you can't just show up at my house. You got to make sure you have your shit before you leave. You know, don't try intruding.
Exactly.
Don't try intruding on a situation that doesn't involve you. My relationship with you is a friendship. Friends allow friends to be happy, and friends allow the space to be happy. The fact that he keeps showing up and he keeps saying, oh, I want to come over, you know, at like, let's say 10 o'clock at night. I don't need to talk to you at 10 o'clock at night. I'm trying to go to sleep. You know, I have a man in my life. I don't need this. I don't need you throwing caution to the wind and being like, oh, you know, we've been friends for this long, but you, through my actions, you mean more to me than just a friend.
Yeah, it's not cut off. It's just cut back.
Yeah,
Right.
It's
Right.
Right.
It's a healthy boundary to have, but it doesn't seem to be that. Even though Dawn has kind of said, no, you know, I want to spend time with Macon. It doesn't seem like Dre is respecting that boundary. Her other girlfriends, they're like, cool, great, we'll see you when we see you. We love you. We're happy you're happy. But I think for a guy who thinks he's more than a friend to somebody, because this stuff happens in gay relationships also. There's always going to be the one guy who's like, oh, but I'm the you're in my back pocket kind of person. It's like, it doesn't really work.
Right.
People don't get to just sit around and wait for you to grow up. You have to grow up and hope that they're still there.
Right.
All right. Let's see what our Facebook viewers are saying. So let me wind back to see. Okay. So Ashley said, I do agree that Dre is a great friend, but clearly there's more to his feelings. Okay. Sharon says, sometimes your gift is right there and you're looking somewhere else. Stephanie Gordon Thurman said, he already knows that she has found the one, she meaning Dawn.
Yeah.
And let's see here. Ashley says, this is already tested with the first marriage. She didn't cut him off then. And I don't think—
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, Macon has a problem with the friendship. He has a problem with boundaries. Latasha Clark said, there has to be boundaries, period. Gloria Johnson said, there's definitely has to be boundaries. Things change when you get a relationship. And then Stephanie Thurman also says, it's about respect. That's my thing. It's all about respect. If you know your friend is, I don't know, sometimes I feel like the friendship should automatically kick in. If someone is, you know, she's slowly getting back on track from things being unstable, and she's, you know, going through a grief period, and you see your friend is happy, even if you are jealous or little funny, noticing that, why am I feeling this way? Your friendship should make you kind of fall back. And I think that kind of illuminates Dre's—
Now, Keisha, that is from a woman's point of view. Now, Jay, what would a man say in that?
As far as
if he is interested in somebody, even if his friend and she may not marry, but she may be interested in somebody else, will a man automatically shoot his shot if he's interested in her, or is he just gonna fall back?
sometimes we just fall back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm speaking for me.
Yeah.
I've been in that situation and I just fell back because sometimes you shoot your shot, it's too late. The game is over.
Yeah.
So you can shoot your shot, but it's like, oh well, you should have shot your shot while the game was being played. But you waited till the game was over and shot your shot. I'm gonna go ahead and pursue this over here. So you don't want to hear all of that. So you just fall back and say, damn.
Right.
You know, I missed out.
Can I ask a question though?
Okay. What do you think, Alex?
I think Wanda had a question. Go ahead.
Okay.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I think for me is like, I think it's a little different because I'm gay, so the way gays do things are a little bit different.
No, you still have testosterone.
No, I know.
So, what are you talking about?
But what I have to say is, I've been in a situation where I had a friend who, at that time, I was single. I was very good friends with this person, and he was like, "Oh, I'm started dating this person." I was like, "Great, fantastic." This is a guy that I had feelings for a while, and he and I had talked about it. But then when he said, "Oh, I have a new person in my life," I stepped back because I was like, you know what? I don't want to mess this up for him. I don't want to mess this up for me because I don't want to lose my friendship. Because at the end of the day, he wasn't my boyfriend. He wasn't my fiance. He wasn't my husband. He was my friend. And in order for me to keep that friendship, I had to be respectful of the fact that he had someone new in his life. Did I like the new person in his life? Hell no. Because of, whatever reason. But I was like, although I don't necessarily like the person you're dating, I'm going to step back because it's not my place.
Because you're a friend.
Yeah.
Okay, Wanda.
So I think there are two things. So one, we continue to talk about a friendship, but remember now what Dre wants exceeds a friendship. And that's different. And yeah, you have to be friends first, but I think that what he's looking for now far extends a friendship. And again, my question was going to be, because I didn't read anywhere in the first 10 chapters, what Don had done to make him think differently. So what about Dawn made him, because we were talking about whether she could be friends or not, and she only saw him as a friend, right? She didn't see him as anything more than that, and they had always been just best buddies. So now all of a sudden he has these feelings, and it's like, what has she done, or did she do anything to bring these feelings on? And so we continue to talk about him and that it's a friendship and should make and accept him and all of these things. All of this goes back to Dre and just his world. It doesn't go to, we haven't seen anything in the first 10 chapters that say that Dawn brought some of this on, that she, that she showed something toward him that was different, anything outside of a friendship. So, as we go through this, we're still talking about what he wants. And because he recognized and now they're friends, and now Macon's got to accept him and all of these things. But Dawn had not put him in any other place other than as a friend. So that was just kind of part of the whole story is all of a sudden he's just so in love. And it's not that he wants, he's in love, supposedly. And those things don't just, you have to have a door somewhere
over time
kind of do those things to respond to. So that's, I just wonder about that.
I want to respond because
go ahead, Alex.
It kind of comes down to, it's one of my favorite things about language is how something is said. Reading a book, we can read the words, "I love you," a multitude of different ways. But when it comes to saying it to a really, really close friend, like somebody I've known since 4th grade, "I love you" means more than just it's not romantic love. So different types of love. It's not a romantic love. It's a friendship love. Because like I tell my girlfriends I see, I love them because they're probably some of the best people I've ever met in my life. And I love them for that. But I definitely, it's not a romantic love. I would never, whatever. But when I say I love you to my husband, it means I love him, you know, wholeheartedly with all my being and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, when it comes down to what has Dawn done over the years, I feel like she's saying I love you to him in a friendship way, like I love you for being there. I love you for being you, you know, whatever that may be. But then he may be misinterpreting that as more of a romantic sense. And then he's now realizing with her new relationship with Macon that he actually had more feelings towards her than he may have either admitted to himself or allowed himself to feel. So I think we can't be too hard on Dre in terms of how he's responding. But when it comes to how he's reacting to the situation, there's a lot that can be said about, you know, what is reasonable, because, you know, at the end of the day, like we keep going back to, if it's your best friend, step back. And just
okay. I'm gonna go to this our Facebook group here. Shmel said, excuse me, Sharon said it's like a new pair of shoes. You wear them now often, but you keep the old pair around because they're comfortable. And that makes a good point. I think, and I don't know, and you guys can tell me or whatever. I think that Macon being a symbol of something that will interrupt his comfortness with Dawn. He's able to come over 3 o'clock in the morning, stay to our parties until nobody leaves, this and that. And I think with him realizing there are boundaries and limitations that he technically should follow, it's making him recognize that maybe he has feelings for her. You got to remember, this guy, you know, showing up at her house, calling her, saying he's going to come through. Those were all comforts that he's had with Dawn. And also she talks about, Macon brought up, how did your ex-husband and Dre get along? Because he's trying to figure out here, how was the game played? Because this guy is definitely out of pocket. You know, so what did your husband do? And she brought up, I was in the DMV. It was never an issue. Maybe that's why Dre has never experienced, like, you know, someone coming on his quote unquote turf.
And not being able to do whatever he wants to.
Exactly. And see, now he can't do all those things, which but wow, great. So we're going to get to the next few questions. I'm trying to not keep you guys past 8:30. What do you think will happen? When is it okay to introduce your significant other to your family, in particular, your parents and kids? Anybody want to go with that? I see Miss Pat head is down, like she's bubbling over there.
44 years old, I don't think you should have to worry about your parents.
Yeah.
Number one. But you know, that's another story.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Okay, Stephanie.
But children, once you know that it's going somewhere, and then again, it depends upon the age of the children, because whatever you do, no matter what you do, you should always make sure that it is a relationship that is meaningful, because women should always in their relationships make sure that they are examples for their kids, how you want your daughter to be treated by a man, and how you want your son to treat a woman. So people who are dating need to keep those things in mind. And it also should be of course, it should be age appropriate. And there's no handbook on when, how, or whatever. You just have to make sure that you do it in the best interest of you and your children, and then the man, and possibly his children as well. So age plays a part, when you know that the relationship is possibly going somewhere.
Yeah. So I agree with Stephanie, I think, especially about the parents part, if at 44 or 45 or whatever. But I also think with the kids, you know, again, it's the maturity of the relationship. And if you think about this relationship, it doesn't sound like Macon took women around his children just out of the blue. And nor did it sound like Dawn took folks around her family just out of the blue, because they all both had dated other people before they met each other. So I think that even in our own lives, those types of things are things that help drive the decision. The age too of the kids and how much you think they can handle, and their maturity about relationships, how whether the separation from the other parent was bitter, or you know there was some type of stress or challenge around it. But I don't think that there's a you know, that I think it depends on the relationship, the individuals and the relationship that they feel like they're getting into. Because you know, some people go into, like Dre, in relationships that it's only going to be for a minute. So if he had children, he probably wouldn't want to introduce them to all of the women he's going to date. But you think a person like Macon, who Macon knew, you know, you talk about being territorial and making up your mind that this is the woman that I really want to get to know. I want her to be a part of my life. That's a totally different situation.
Okay. Okay. Well, go ahead, Miss Pat, and then we're going to check in our Facebook viewers.
Well, you know, I think we all need to evaluate whether or not we have appropriate people to introduce them to. We know if our family is crazy. Set people up, because I remember reading a few times in the book. You don't want to run her off, do you? You trying to run somebody off? You know, that means you know that if you her around certain people, there can be problems. That's it. Don't run people off when you know you got some people that ain't right. All right.
Okay. Anybody else before I go to the Facebook group? Go ahead, Alex.
I have to say that, like, for me, for me, introducing Daniel, my husband, to my family was a bit of a question mark for me, because I was raised in a very Catholic, very, very conservative family who all had certain beliefs about things. And so when it came down to me trying to figure out whether or not I wanted to introduce him to basically the bullshit that I had to deal with growing up, I had to really, really figure out who in the family is the lesser of two evils, basically. Like, who in my family will I know will not have a lot to say about it, or won't say anything about it, because I have people in my family who thought my marriage was a green card marriage. So it's like that kind of played a factor in who I was going to introduce him to, because I didn't want to expose him to, like I said, the bullshit I dealt with. So I think if you know your family really, really well, and I know my family very well, but I also know what to expect from them, there are people in my family he has never met, because I don't want him to meet them because of the BS that's going to happen. You know, yes, he met the family member who had the comment, and she, you know, has maybe since changed her mind, but, you know, it comes down to, you're not going to bring just anybody around your family. I have friends who have kids, and I only met the kids after like months of knowing them, because I know, and I've, you know, babysat for families where, you know, the kids are very impressionable, but they're also going to be the most honest people in your life. So if they don't like that person, they don't like that person, you know? So it comes down to like making the best decision for the kids. And kids. At the end of the day, it's just the kids, you know? Family members you can deal with later on. That, you know, you can catch and go as you need to. But at the end of the day, if you have young children, and honestly, I don't think it really depends on the age of the kids, because those kids are still going to have a belief about whoever that person is. You know, there's the conversation that I've heard with people who are like, well, she's never going to replace my mom, or he's never going to replace my dad. So making sure that person that you're introducing to your kids as a possible representation of motherhood or fatherhood. They need to fit. You need to check all those boxes, and the first people you need to start with are those kids.
That's true. I agree with you. Looking into the Facebook viewers, now Ashley brought up something that I thought about when I was reading. She said, honestly, it was too soon, and the daughter getting the number was a lot. I think it's risky no matter the age. I think the timing does change based on how old the kids are. I was a little thrown back with the little girl getting the phone number. I was like, that might be.
I mean, I don't see a problem with her because they had an interest in biology. I don't see it. To me, if my kid came and you were there and you were a biology major and she was a biology major and she said, I want to get Miss Keisha's phone number to talk about biology.
Yeah.
I don't see an issue there. I mean, she wasn't 10, she wasn't 5. She's a teenager.
That's true. She was a teenager. I guess it's because he's still getting to know her. They are, I think during this time, were they even a month in?
But what does time have to do with somebody when I just don't, when you're 44 and over, I just, time thing, I'm sorry. You keep on waiting on time gonna pass you by. I don't see the issue with this time when you're 44 years old. Maybe when you're in your 20s, when you start getting in your 30s and 40s and you're still talking about time, time gonna leave you behind, in my opinion.
When you say time, what are you talking about? When you say time?
I remember one time, the pastor that we used to have, Stephanie knows him, and he said that a man knows pretty much right away if that woman is who he wants to be with. So if he knows right away, he knows what he wants. I mean, this is the pastor said this years ago. He said, men know this. And that's from a man, Jay.
Yeah, we know, but sometimes things happen.
Yeah.
And you might say, okay, I thought that's what I wanted.
But Jay, sometimes that comes with, not reading them well. You remember they had some "Are You Crazy" tests in their early few weeks of their relationship. They kind of joke with each other about that, and they kind of assess the personalities. And she showed her most vulnerable side to him early on in the relationship. I mean, like weeks within, and relationship did move fast. But I'm with Barbara. After you get past your 30s and into your 40s, you tend to be able to have, especially if you've ever had a successful relationship, what a successful relationship is like.
And then if it doesn't work out, you can explain to your kids, hey, it just didn't work out. Bobby won't be coming around anymore.
Yeah.
And I think kids need to see that too. They need to see that you had a relationship.
Yeah. And
if it didn't work out, it's okay. It's okay.
It all depends on the age, though. I'm sorry.
No. Okay. I agree. Age could play a factor.
Age is a factor. I've been there. And age is a factor. And I'm going, I
agree with Stephanie.
Since age is a factor. Age is definitely a factor.
Age is a factor, but these kids are teenagers.
Yeah, they're
teenagers. I agree with the fact that I don't have a problem with the daughter getting the number. She's a teenager. Have at it. But when they're like 4, 5, and 6 years old, you don't want a revolving door. That didn't work out. Oh, Miss Betty, your Aunt Betty, she ain't coming back no more. I mean, we don't want to do that. But teenagers,
But you saw even still how his son didn't receive it well at first. I mean, he kind of, pulled him to the side and talked to him about it. I mean, the daughter is very outgoing, and like you say, Barb, they have commonalities and what she wants to study in school. They both are good math and science folks. So Dawn really kind of fell into a common interest for them. That's different than somebody coming off the street. It's like the daughter told the brother that girl that he was dating wasn't going to be around for long because she wasn't dating material.
Right.
She wasn't dating
loose.
Right.
Exactly. Them being twins, still the son didn't have to, but the son pulled his dad aside and said, hey, where is this going? To just kind of confirm that, she's going to be around because they did like her. They did take to her. And again, when you do that, you have to you can tell whether or not the relationship is going somewhere for the most part. I mean, you never know when something might go wrong, but at least early on.
That's in any relationship,
But
whether there are no children
And
or
you
not.
Yeah,
You also
exactly.
have to know in this relationship, Don may not have known Don long, but Don was not an unfamiliar person to the family.
Mhm.
Right, right.
With his sister, she was the mother's neighbor. It
Right.
wasn't like she was a stranger to the family.
Mhm.
The
Exactly.
family knew her.
Exactly.
Now I will add this. If you know you got a crazy family, make sure he really likes you before you introduce.
I'm going to agree with you there.
Right.
Yeah.
Make sure he really likes you, and then you can do it.
Hey, Mel, you ain't never lied on that one.
Right. Because I will change my mind if I didn't like him. I'm like, the family, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Give him
Well,
some
you know, it's funny, Melody, because that brings me to my next point. How much weight do you give to friends and families' opinions about your significant other? And also, I'm gonna give the last two. That one, and do you think with Don being 44 and Macon being 37, are they moving too fast with that, having that age dynamic also playing a part? So
No,
whoever wants to.
no.
No.
I don't.
personal experience.
No, I think that the age difference, that once you get over 25, close to the 30, 35, you pretty much are settled. And plus Macon grew up fast because
Yeah,
he got
Yes, he did.
out right after high
Mhm.
school. He'd been in the military,
Yes.
come back and retire. So he wasn't a 35-year-old that lived with his mama for 33 years and then decided he wanted to get out and have a relationship. He had some experience on him. And in fact, for, since some data shows, Jay, that women mature faster than men, he actually was at a good place for her for considering their relationship. I mean, their age difference.
Yeah.
I think that
He had more life experience than she did.
She did, yeah.
Yeah, he had more life experience. So I think it would be, the life experience, and that really matters.
Mhm.
It really does. What was the first part of that question, Keisha?
It was two questions.
Oh, you asked about how your family weighed.
Mm.
If you have a reasonable family,
Yeah.
I think that's important. Yeah, if you have a reason, I think it's important because they might see things that I don't.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you have a level, and not everyone in the family, if you got a few level-headed people in your family, I think they should. Yeah, I think they should weigh in.
I don't think so. At this age, I don't think so. I really don't.
When it comes to the parents, I think
no. At 57 years old, I don't care what my family has to say about who I choose.
Me either. I wouldn't.
I think I'm old enough to decide on this. And I think but it all depends, because it happened to me at 50 some years old. It was a different culture.
Okay.
And the father of a 53-year-old man had an issue with it. So we went.
Okay, I'm not talking about that kind of weigh-in. I'm talking about. Because they're not reasonable. That's not reasonable because you're from a different.
It's reasonable for them, though.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
All of it plays a part. And my whole premise, even in discussing it outside of this, is that if I'm 50 some years old, you can't weigh in on my relationship.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah, because basically I don't care what you think, because you're not going to be around the person I'm seeing anyway. Yeah. I am. And if you have a problem with it, I'm just not going to bring that person around you.
Okay, what if that person is beating your relative?
Oh, now we're into a whole nother dynamic.
Okay, so that's what that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. I'm just saying that if you see, but if it's regular, no, you shouldn't weigh in at all. It's not even
and as we said back in, my parents used to say back in the old, especially my mom would say, she ain't got nothing to say with who you pulling covers with. You're a grown.
No.
Okay.
Mr. Brownie said that.
Brownie said that.
Go ahead, Mama.
You know she'll say something crazy.
But it's true.
It is true. It is true.
Yeah, I guess
The conversation is so good. I'm sorry. I do want to make sure I chime in with the Facebook people as well. We're going back, and I don't want to miss any of the comments. Ashley did have a very interesting perspective. She said it's interesting that it's being seen only from Megan's perspective. This is regards to the kids. Just because Dawn is childless doesn't mean that it does not impact her.
That's true.
So I can kind of understand that, because I've been in a situation where a guy introduced me to his daughter on the second date, and he went to take a call outside and left me with that little grown little girl, and I was like, but anyway,
I think
also Latasha Clark said it's okay to listen, but your opinion is the final say, and your choices are what you have to be comfortable with and live with. Okay. And that, I think I'm caught up on everything. I don't know who had a question or comment next. I totally forgot. I was being good. Okay, Alex, we'll take you real quick, and then we're going to go over to the next one.
So like, in terms of like how much a family's opinion matters, I don't give a shit what my family thinks.
Go ahead.
At the end of the day, it's going to be me and my partner. It's not going to be me and all 80 of my relatives. Like, if my family has an issue with it, cool, whatever. They don't have to see us, because at the end of the day, if someone isn't going to celebrate love between two people, whoever they are, they don't have any place making comments. So I think, and the only time a family member could ever have, like, the only person that I wanted my husband to meet and I guess quote unquote get approval from was my father, who was dying. That's the only time I think a parent or anybody's opinion really matters, is when, specifically if it's a parent, you want to have them meet the person to say, hello and goodbye, basically. I think that's really the only time it should really matter. In general, they can say what they want. I know they say what they want. Don't care.
And you can't control it either. Go ahead, Miss Pat.
Okay, so I know that we're ending this particular question, but I have another one. And I don't know that we're going to do it now. We could do it for the next meeting. But I just love it. Go ahead. You know I'm a little bit quirky. All right. So the thing that's kind of on the back of my mind is, how do you all feel about relationships changing when you lose a significant person in your life, like a mother, father, something like that? Because that will weigh on your relationship. If you lose somebody significant and you're already in a relationship, what you end up with is, you don't know what I'm feeling like. What do you say? You don't know what's going on with me. You don't know how I feel. And so a lot of what's happening with Dawn is her feelings, and she cannot be completely transparent with Megan because she's still holding the walls up about her mother and her past. Come on, Miss Ray, let's get with that. Say about it, sister.
All right, Miss Ray, give it to us.
Well, I will say this, and just to give you all some background on the story, I wrote this book when I was going through the grieving process of losing my mother. So, Dawn,
you said it's Tisha's characters.
Yeah. Well, some of the personalities are not fictitious, but
understood.
Yes, but I will say this, and I definitely agree with you, Ms. Pat, on that I think it's like anything else. We all handle things and situations differently, and it all depends on how you process things. Some
Yes.
people, they hold things in, you never know what's going on, and then they act a fool 2 years later. And
Yes.
you never know what's going on. So I think it just depends on the person. I don't think it's a right or wrong answer to it. I just really believe that Dawn was transitioning in the book, but I think that during the time she was doing the transition, I think the making was good for her.
I agree with you.
And because of the job that he held, remember his job was a grief counselor in the military. So that was one of the important factors. Because in my experience in dealing with, when I was sat down to write this book, in dealing with men, and I'm sorry, Jay and Alex, I got to say this, but a lot of times, you don't necessarily get the emotional support that you need from a man. And I'm not saying in all cases, but a lot of times you don't. So it was important that, so that Macon wouldn't look like a complete perfect person, that his job at least played a factor in how he dealt with her. Because the way that he treated her and the way he was responsive to her, in my opinion, in my experience, that is usually not the case with men. They're not necessarily, they can't read you the way he's able to read her. So, and I mean, it's just the way it is. And that's been my experience. And I when I say my experience, I mean me personally, as well as friends and family who've gone through things, and you kind of watch the relationships and you're always like, don't he see she hurt? Go hug her. You know, it's like
right.
You know, it's kind of like they don't get it. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I didn't know. You know,
when you are choosing a therapist,
it
needs to be someone. I'm sorry, Wanda.
Okay.
When you're choosing a therapist, it always has to be someone that kind of works within your diameter of what you're dealing with. Okay, every therapist is not going to be the right one. It could be a man or a woman. It's never going to always be the right one. But I can say, because I lost my mother when I was like 18 years old.
Wow.
It took me every bit of 10 years to get over her. I was at work every day at my job and cried at least once a day. I would have to leave my desk and go to the bathroom and come back. And it took a complete 10 years for me to stop doing the crying and then doing the processing.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask too. I mean, because again, there's no time limit for grief. Any of us has ever experienced it.
Never.
That. I was thinking about Macon's character though, but he also lost his father at a young age. So,
yes, he did.
Being a therapist, and I don't know if that was intentional too, as part of your and writing the book, but along with being a therapist, he also had dealt with death from a parent, and so at a young age, which, you know, for him it was unbelievable. For her, it was more traumatic because, like she said, and he said it, I never got a chance to say goodbye. And you know, all the things that she felt, he had felt those things along with being a therapist. I think that she got a bonus in that. And even though Dre has been very caring and compassionate and thoughtful in a protective way, Dre almost has not allowed her to grieve either, because every time she starts hurting, he tends to pull her away from it, whereas Macon is allowing her to grieve in whatever way she wants to, but still being
that's nice.
That's my final point for tonight.
Wow, that was good, Wanda. That's true.
Guys, this has been hot like fire. Okay. Oh my gosh. So we have chapters 11, and we're going to complete the book the next session. Okay. I am just overjoyed with all the participation, and just from you guys' comments, I can tell you're enjoying the book as well too. Marlee Ray, look at this fat classmate. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. This has been so much fun. Oh my God.
Can you remind them that she has a series?
She does, and I was gonna end with that, making
Oh, I'm
sure
sorry.
when I
Okay.
got out. Look, you gotta look out for your girl.
I'm sorry.
Look out for a girl.
Because the books are all wonderful. They really are.
Oh, that's not
They
good.
are. I haven't read them all.
I couldn't stop at chapter 10, so I'm scared to get to the end of it.
Me too.
Okay, and
I'm
you know
so
what,
scared
Wanda?
to go to 11.
Oh no, I'm on 16.
Well, who is Lisa?
You are 16-1.
Yes.
Look at her biting the apple.
After I heard about Lisa, I started to get mad. So I had to figure out where Lisa, I had to get further.
Oh, you did right.
Wanda, that ain't cool, girl. You need to wait on the rest of us.
Okay.
All right, go ahead. Keisha, take it off.
So,
Take it home, girl.
so as Melanie stated, Marlee Ray does have a two sets of series of books that she's, and you know what? And nobody can better explain this than her. I'm gonna let her do her. Go ahead, girl. Market your stuff.
Okay. Well, so this series that started off with something old with something new, it is a 3-book series. Wow. And just to give you kind of just a synopsis on what the series is about and why I wrote the series, it really kind of just focuses on the problems and the different things that you go through middle age. And it's kind of what love looks like when you're in your 40s, you're middle age, and you're married, you're divorced, you all of that. Kind of everything that happens during that time. You go through depression, there's different type of things with I'm not where I thought I was going to be at this age, and kind of all of that. So we deal with adultery. There's all different type of things that kind of go on. And so the next book in the series is called Something Borrowed, Something New. And the last book is called Something Blue, Something New. And each book is kind of staged around her friends. So the next book will be about Tori, and you kind of meet her there. So you'll kind of meet her with her dynamic and what she goes through. And then the last book in the series is about Janae.
That's my favorite book.
Yeah.
Right.
Whoa, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's my favorite book.
Yeah. So thank you, Belle. I appreciate that. And
love.
Yeah. So the second series is and all 3 books are actually set in St. Louis. The series after that, it's kind of a spinoff of this series, but it's actually set in the DC area. So y'all know I had to tip my hat to DC because
Okay, girl.
Yeah. So most of my adulthood I've spent in DC, so I could not forget about the DMV. So right. The second series is it's based in the DC area, but there's crossover with the characters. So you will see all of the characters from the first series in the second series. And there's only one book that's been completed so far in the second series, and it's called Slick. And one of the things that I wanted to focus on in that series was just kind of, I wanted to focus on sports that were not common in the African-American community. So the first book it focuses on skiing. The second book that's not finished yet, it will focus on scuba diving. And the last book will focus on, let's say, like the Black Rodeo. So, so that's kind of it, but they're all love stories. And you'll see, but like I said, you'll see the characters interchange. You'll see people going you'll see people from St. Louis, they'll go to DC and vice versa. So, yeah, so that's it. So, but they're all love stories, and I try to put a personal touch on them with things that I'm familiar with, and just my experiences with love and relationships and different things that my friends have gone through in love and relationships. Because I'm gonna tell you, I could write a love chronicles with my friends, but. So, but it's been really good, and I appreciate you all who read the series and the new books and everything. I really appreciate that, and I want to give a shout out to Stephanie while she's here, because Stephanie was actually a beta reader on this first book. So, yeah, she was, and she did a wonderful job with giving me, comments and like, what about this? And what about that? And just giving me things to think about. So I want to say thank you again, Stephanie.
You're
for that.
quite welcome.
Yeah.
And she's a beta reader for me also.
I was waiting to hear.
Awesome.
I was gonna throw it out there.
Yeah.
Got one brewing up.
Yeah.
So, but I thank you guys, and I'm so, the discussion has really been great, and it's making me think about things like, oh, I didn't think about that. But it's making me think about things. Yeah, and it's just been really good, and I'm really glad that you all are enjoying the book so far. It's really, I'm really curious to see how you're gonna think about what you're gonna think about the end part and how it ends and how it wraps up. I know Miss Wanda is already back in chapter 16, so she knows. But yeah, I'm really curious to see what everybody thinks when it's, how it ends. And then again, even though the book is ending, you will see the characters and you'll see how they are later on in the series. So just because Dawn and Macon's story is going to end, you're going to see them in other books, and you'll continue on with their story to see what they're up to and what they're doing. It just won't be from their point of view.
I just want to see who real Lisa is.
Girl, I got it. Okay. Yes, we got to. We need to find out who Sister Lisa is. Okay, so Marlee Ray, tell them where they can find you. I did put in the comments how they can get your books. Okay. But also all of your. I'm gonna let you go ahead.
So everything is on Amazon. You can do an ebook, or if you like the old school, you like to have a hard copy, you can do a hard copy, in both versions are available on Amazon. If you want a signed copy, you can definitely reach out to me. My email address is marleeray45@gmail.com. I also have a website, which is marleerayreadsandwrites.com. You can go there. There are links there to buy all the books as well. Or if there's something you're confused about, just send me an email. You can contact me through the website as well. Or you can call Keisha. Keisha knows how to get in contact with me, or Stephanie, or whoever. But everything is actually on Amazon. And the other thing that I do ask you guys, if you read the book and you enjoy it, only if you enjoy it now, can you leave a review on Amazon? Only you. If you don't like it, just keep that to yourself. But yes, the reviews would be, I really appreciate reviews. So if you can go on Amazon after you read it, and definitely leave a, an honest review on what you think about the book, if you like it.
Don't have nothing nice to say. Don't say nothing.
Right? We don't want that negativity out there like that.
Not at all.
We don't want that. Keep that to yourself.
Keep it to yourself. Well, again, this has been a journey. I'm on pins and needles. I cannot wait to see how the book ends. What are you going to do with these characters? How are you going to blend them into your next? Oh my God. So anyway, thank you guys again, my panelists, for joining. Thank you, Marlee Ray, for allowing us to do a virtual review of your book. Again, I want to let everyone know, and also to our Facebook viewers, thank you guys for joining in. Your comments have been fire tonight. I love it. And I hope you guys are able to tune in. We are going to skip next week because it's Memorial Day weekend. And we're going to pick back up on the 31st, same time, 7 o'clock. So I'm hoping I hope you guys, your schedule, it works out so you can join in again. This has been hot tonight, and I want it to continue on with the ending of the book. So with that being said, thank you guys for joining Wind Down Readers, and I will see you guys on the 31st. And we're gonna put Marlee Ray's website in the comments, so you'll also have that too if you want to reach out to her, and also go ahead and peek at her other books. All right. Any closing remarks, Steph?
Yay!
I know. Bravo. Good
Right.
job.
Great.
Love.
Oh yeah, you always. I mean, this entire series is a love fest. It really is. Like, I think I read. Don't I read your books in like one setting, Ray? Like, I get a corner and I read for 6 hours.
My friend down here,
I can't put it down.
Now, see, this is why her name is in my book right here, because she gives me.
That's lovely. We're gonna come and sit on your sofa. We're gonna sit there with you and read. Open up the doors, girl. We're on the way. What's up?
Right. You
We're
got a
rolling
Bill
in.
has like a Hugh Hefner setup going on over there.
Love that beautiful white sofa. We're on the way in. Open the door. Ding dong. Doorbell been ringing.
Guys are too
All right.
much.
So I'll
Thanks,
see you guys in 2 weeks, I guess.
Yeah.
The third, mark your calendars, the 31st, 7 o'clock. We're gonna be back again to sum it up.
We'll be
Okay.
ready.
Okay.
All right.
Good
I
night.
enjoyed it. Bye-bye. Good night.
Yay!
Bye.
Stay healthy. All right.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.